if you're feeling, frustrated right now, overlooked, or just like you're putting in all this effort for very little return, I need you to really lean in because we are jumping straight into the unspoken and, often uncomfortable truths that really govern success, influence, and the one currency that actually dictates where you're going.
And that's respect.
That's respect.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. So today, we've pulled together a really formidable stack of material. I mean, we're talking everything from classic political philosophy.
Oh yeah, we're going there.
We're talking Machiavelli, absolutely, and we're bringing it right through to cutting-edge modern social psychology, stuff about attraction, perceived value, and the real cost of human interaction.
And our mission today is to take all these complex, sometimes, let's be honest, kind of dark ideas, and transform them into a simple, effective operating system for total life mastery.
This is not theory. We need to be clear about that. This is the blueprint for how the world actually works, once you strip away all the comforting delusions.
Right. And we have to start with the one conflict that holds most people captive.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole premise of this discussion is the agonizing and often hidden cost of just being too agreeable. Look, we get it. Everybody, deep down, wants to be liked. Of course you do.
It's a human impulse.
It's totally natural. You want people to smile when you walk into a room. You want them to approve of your decisions, see you as a supportive colleague, a good friend. You want them to cheer for you.
But our sources point to this really fundamental kind of bitter truth, which is that love without respect is, it's just decoration.
Decoration. That's a great way to put it.
And if you spend your life desperately trying to, decorate your reputation with this superficial niceness, you are fundamentally failing to fortify your actual position, your power, your authority.
Think about the daily grind. The consequences of being too soft. It's that moment you plaster a smile on your face when deep down you're just feeling completely annoyed.
Oh, we've all been there.
We've all been there. It's that constant reflex of saying yes when every single fiber of your being is just screaming no.
Why? Because you're afraid of that little bit of friction.
That momentary friction, exactly. And it's allowing other people to just casually waste your time, to interrupt you constantly, to disregard boundaries that you've explicitly stated. And you let it happen year after year in this slow motion quest to be labeled nice.
Accommodating,
right.
And what does it get you? What does that constant drain in compliance actually get you in the long run? I mean, the data is pretty clear on this.
It's so clear. The agreeable person is the one who gets overlooked for the promotion. They're ignored when the big decisions are being made.
Their time is seen as cheap, disposable.
And eventually, tragically, they're forgotten. Because they never define themselves strongly enough to actually matter.
The world does not reserve its rewards for the agreeable person. It just doesn't. It rewards the unshakable one. The person who is absolutely clear about their value and maintains that psychological distance that's necessary to command rather than to beg.
So if you feel like you are perpetually losing in life, if you feel frustrated all the time, it is not because you lack talent. It's not because you lack energy.
No, in fact, you probably have too much energy invested in the wrong thing.
Exactly. You're investing it all in caring what other people think. The real reason is that you are too afraid to displease others. That fear of friction. It's a prison, and it's when you built yourself with your own desire for validation.
And that brings us right to the paradox, the brutal clarity of Machiavelli. His central idea, it is far more important for a ruler to be respected through fear than to be liked if they can't have both.
And I know when people hear that word fear, there's this knee-jerk reaction.
Right, they think cruelty, violence,
terror. But that is completely the wrong lens. We have to frame this as Machiavelli really meant it, which is psychological survival. Preemptive deterrence.
Strategic consequence. And the stakes for you, for the listener, couldn't be higher. Because if you're operating your life chasing that external validation, that cheap hit of dopamine, that validation becomes the leash. It's the leash that others use to control you.
And that's why we're here. We are dedicated to exposing this hidden operating system, the unspoken rules of power and influence.
This is the blueprint.
It's the blueprint for command. It's about shifting you once and for all from being controlled by this desperate need for validation to commanding authority through absolute, unshakable self-control.
So let's unpack that.
Let's do it. We have to start with the bedrock principle, respect versus approval. Where does real power even come from?
Our sources are.
Yeah.
They're explicit on this. Power is not about money. It's not about fame or some fancy job title.
Now,
Power is about control, and most importantly, self-control.
every single interaction you have. I mean, think about it. Negotiating a contract, or even just responding to a passive-aggressive text from a family member.
It's a battle for control. It's subtle, but it's always there.
It's about defining the terms. Who sets the tone? Who defines what's acceptable behavior? And who is forced to react?
The approval seeker loses that battle the second they walk into the room.
Instantly.
They're scanning faces, trying to read the room, adjusting their tone, playing small so they don't threaten anyone. They're already reacting before anyone has even said a word. They just give away the initiative.
Whereas the person who commands respect, they're not chasing reactions. They move slower. They speak less.
But when they do speak.
When they do, their words have this weight of certainty. They create the reactions they want.
Which brings us right back to Machiavelli's idea of strategic fear.
And we have to be absolutely crystal clear on this. This is not about causing terror. It's not about pain. It is about establishing consequences. Clearly, swiftly.
People learn behavioral patterns way faster and more deeply from silence and action than they ever will from a lecture or an argument or some emotional outburst.
Okay, let's use that example from the source material because it really draws out the contrast. So imagine a senior employee. He insults his boss in a public meeting. He thinks he's indispensable because he's been there forever.
Right. Now, the amateur boss, the one who's still chasing approval, they'd react instantly.
Oh, for sure.
They'd yell, they'd argue, maybe defensively list their own accomplishments. They lose their composure. And in that moment, they lose psychological control of the entire room. They give that employee the satisfaction of getting a reaction.
But the master, the leader who values respect over approval, they don't engage. They maintain absolute composure. They just look at the employee and say, in this perfectly measured tone, that will be your last mistake here.
And that's it.
That's it. They disengage. They walk out.
And the deep power in that isn't even in the words. It's in what happens next. The silent action. The next morning, that guy's key card it doesn't work anymore.
No volatility. No big fight. No emotional drama. Just action. Silence. And consequence.
That's where respect is built. It's built on that unwavering knowledge that crossing the line has a real, immediate, and high cost. As the philosopher Gianpaolo Aliottis said, the one who fears you believes that betrayal will cost them way more than just silence or compliance.
And when that temporary emotional love or friendship fades, which it always does,
the foundational respect is still there.
It's still there. And you need that enforcement because of the second core truth that Machiavelli just nailed.
Which is that human nature exploits weakness.
Exactly. And this isn't a moral judgment. It's an operating principle. People will treat you exactly how you have trained them to treat you.
Every single time you let someone interrupt you, misuse your time, disregard a reasonable request, you are not being nice.
You are actively training them. You're teaching them precisely what you will tolerate.
Psychologically, the world is never going to rise above the standard you set for yourself. If you tolerate mediocrity, that is exactly what you will get. You're not just the bearer of your own value, you are the chief enforcer of it.
So the core instruction here is simple. Stop asking for respect and start enforcing it. But we have to talk about the elephant in the room. Why is this so damn hard for people?
Why are we addicted to the opposite dynamic?
Yes.
It's what we can call the modern disease, approval addiction. And this isn't just a metaphor. There's a real verifiable chemical root to this.
Every time you get a like on social media, every high five, every compliment, every good job from your boss.
Boom, little rush of dopamine. It's the same chemical reward pathway that's central to, actual chemical addictions.
We get hooked. And like any addict, we start making these irrational decisions. We compromise our time, we sacrifice our long-term goals, all for that next little fleeting hit of validation.
Which is why the whole social media ecosystem is so sinister in how effective it is. It has trained billions of people to constantly chase this cheap external approval. You become externally oriented. You're always looking outside yourself for the compass that tells you what you're worth.
And high-value people or people who are manipulative, they sense this addiction immediately, and they weaponize it.
Oh, absolutely. They know exactly how to give you that cheap hit right before they ask you to compromise yourself.
It's the manager who praises your incredible team spirit right before asking you to work the weekend for free.
Or the friend who calls you so understanding right before they flake on you for the third time. You confuse that cheap compliment, that little hit of validation, for genuine earned respect.
You have to remember the calculus here. Validation is the cheapest currency in the world. It is so easy for people to give out, but it is ruinously costly for you to crave. Because the moment you need it,
A moment you signal that dependency.
you've just handed over the reins of your own control.
And the antidote, as our sources really powerfully emphasize, is absolute unwavering self-validation. This is the goal. It's the ability to stand in any room, be completely misunderstood, maybe even be disliked by some people, and still be entirely certain of who you are, what your purpose is, and the value you bring.
That is the moment you become truly effective.
Yeah.
Because you're unmanipulable. You become, as the sources put it, dangerous.
In the best way.
In the most powerfully effective way. When you can look in the mirror and realize, I don't need to be liked, I need to be respected, your behavior it shifts instantly.
Yeah.
You stop negotiating your value and you start defining it.
So to operate from that position of strength, we have to really get the mindset, the Machiavellian blueprint.
Right. And this isn't some dusty old philosophy. This is a measurable personality trait. It's one of the 3 parts of the dark triad in modern psychology.
Right. Along with narcissism and psychopathy.
So what defines it psychologically?
Well, it's characterized by a highly manipulative and exploitative attitude. There's a distinct lack of empathy, a very cynical view of human nature, a belief that people are just fundamentally selfish.
And that the ends justify the means.
Totally. It's a utilitarian morality. These individuals consistently prioritize agency and progress, getting things done, hitting their targets over any kind of connectedness to other people. They're dominant, self-seeking, secretive, suspicious, and just rigidly pragmatic.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Research shows that Machiavellianism correlates negatively with agreeableness and conscientiousness. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, they don't care about feelings or following the rules.
But paradoxically, it shows a positive correlation with neuroticism.
Isn't that fascinating? You'd think the ultimate controllers would be calm, but no.
Why would they be anxious?
Because their anxiety, their neuroticism, their fear of failure, that's what drives their need for external control. They're compensating for internal instability by developing this incredible discipline over their emotional responses.
So their anxiety doesn't make them weak, it makes them hypervigilant.
Exactly. They're constantly calculating potential betrayals, running through contingencies. They are not carefree, they are strategically cautious. And this anxiety pushes them to master that blend of charm and ruthlessness that makes them so effective.
Charm is just the opening act.
Just the opener. It opens doors, disarms rivals, earns temporary trust, and crucially, it deflects any suspicion about their true motives.
But then comes the ruthlessness. That's the closer.
That's what ensures that once the door is open, once that leverage point is found, the opportunity is fully exploited for maximum personal gain.
It's like public relations versus private operation.
That's a great analogy.
The charm is the perfect public image, while the quiet, unwavering ruthlessness behind the scenes is what actually drives the success that everyone else envies.
And this is that powerful analogy from The Prince. The leader has to combine the strengths of 2 different animals, the lion and the fox.
Right. The lion is the outward appearance. Greatness, courage, gravity, fortitude, this unshakable authority.
But you also have to know how to counterfeit the fox.
Meaning what?
Cunning, deception, the tactical awareness to see the traps and avoid them.
So how does that apply today? I mean, think about something like online reputation. The lion is your public profile, the polished LinkedIn, the successful posts, all your accomplishments.
And the fox is the private strategy, the secret negotiations, the aggressive moves you make behind the scenes, all the things you do to win that you never ever post about.
This leads right to the core principle of self-preservation in these sources, which is the absolute necessity of avoiding hatred and contempt.
You can afford to be feared.
Yes, you can afford to have consequences, but you absolutely cannot afford to be hated. Hatred invites active sabotage.
And Machiavelli was crystal clear about what creates hatred. He said there are really only 2 things. First, being rapacious.
Meaning, taking people's stuff.
Exactly. Violating their property, their resources. And second, violating the honor of others.
Which translates perfectly to today. If you don't steal people's money, their time, their assets, and if you don't humiliate them or betray their trust, most people will leave you alone. they'll be content.
Then you only have to deal with the ambition of a few rivals.
And then there's contempt. You have to guard against appearing fickle, frivolous, mean-spirited, or, and this is a big one, irresolute.
You can't look like you're always changing your mind.
Never. A leader has to project greatness, courage, gravity. Your judgments, once you make them, have to appear irrevocable. You have to build such a solid reputation that no one even thinks they can deceive you or work around you.
Because if you look weak, you invite people to test you.
That impression of steadfastness is a shield. If a potential adversary knows that getting rid of you will just offend everyone else, they won't have the courage or the support to even try.
And this brings up a really nuanced point about leadership, especially when you're dealing with like a corrupt system or a toxic workplace. Sometimes just doing good works, just being a virtuous person, can actually earn you hatred.
If the powerful group you rely on is corrupt.
Exactly. This is a lesson from the Roman emperors. They had this impossible problem. They had to satisfy the ambitious nobles, the unruly people, and the cruel, greedy soldiers.
And those groups wanted opposite things.
Completely opposite. The people wanted peace. The soldiers wanted a warlike prince who'd let them plunder and give them double pay. You can't do both.
So the emperor was trapped. If the body you need to maintain your power, whether it's the Praetorian Guard or a toxic board of directors, is corrupt, you are forced to gratify them. You have to play their game.
If you try to be purely virtuous, like the Emperor Pertinax did, you earn hatred and contempt at the same time. He tried to clean things up and he was overthrown and met his final outcome almost immediately.
Because he offended the very people who were holding him in power.
And to clarify the jargon, Machiavelli also mentioned the Turk or the Soldan. He's referring to the Ottoman Empire and the Mamluk Sultanate in Egypt.
Regimes where the military was everything.
The whole state structure rested on them. So in those systems, the prince had no choice but to satisfy the soldiers. Trying to reform things was a game over move. It's cynical, but it's pragmatic.
So the lesson from modern leadership is this. If you can't avoid being hated by someone, and you almost never can, you have to try with everything you've got to avoid the hatred of the most powerful group, the one that controls your fate.
And for most leaders today, that means the general public, the market. They hold the ultimate power. So a wise leader keeps the affairs of grace, the good stuff, the rewards, in their own hands.
And the affairs of reproach,
Yeah.
the firings, the tough decisions.
You delegate that. You let someone else be the bad guy. That balance is the secret to having both popular support and necessary strength.
Okay, so we've got the mindset respect over approval. We've got the persona, the lion, and the fox. Now let's talk about the universal mechanism that dictates value everywhere.
The scarcity principle.
The scarcity principle. It governs everything from markets to relationships.
It's one of the most fundamental forces in psychology, and it's simple. Opportunities, products, or even people. They become exponentially more appealing to us when their availability is limited, or even just perceived to be limited.
We are wired to crave what is rare.
But why? What's going on in our heads? The sources point to 3 key psychological triggers here.
Okay.
First is perceived value. Our brains use shortcuts, and rarity is a shortcut for quality. If something is scarce, we just automatically assume, oh, if there's so little of it, it must be special, it must be high quality.
That's the limited edition effect.
Exactly. A limited edition, anything instantly commands a higher price and more desire than the mass-produced version.
Okay, what's the second one?
The second one is maybe the most powerful driver. It's loss aversion. Groundbreaking research has shown that the pain of losing something is about twice as motivating as the pleasure of gaining the same thing.
This is the fear of missing out. FOMO.
It's pure FOMO. The thought of losing the opportunity to get something creates this immense psychological pressure. It makes us act impulsively, irrationally. You stop calculating the true worth and you just react to the potential loss.
And the third?
Third is psychological reactance. This is the forbidden fruit effect. When our freedom to choose something is threatened or restricted, we instantly feel a spike in desire.
Because we want to reassert our freedom.
Precisely. It stops being about, do I want this? And it becomes, they're trying to stop me from having this, so now I must have it to prove I'm in control.
And this is so critical because it doesn't just apply to, Black Friday sales.
No, it applies directly to you, to how you manage your presence in relationships, in your career, everywhere. You have to apply the scarcity principle to yourself.
Which means you have to fundamentally shift your focus. Stop chasing other people, stop validating their needs, stop accommodating their schedules.
And let them invest energy in chasing you.
Rule number 1 is so definitive here. Overeagerness signals low value. The second you're always available, always responding instantly, always rescheduling for them, you're signaling to their subconscious that your time is cheap.
You have to consciously match a person's level of investment, never exceed it. And the psychology behind this is that people only truly value what they have to work for.
Their investment of time and effort increases their valuation of the relationship, not yours.
If they don't put in the effort, they won't value it, which means you need to maintain a strategic distance, a bit of mystery. That's the cunning of the fox, but applied personally.
If you reveal everything too soon, all your struggles, all your availability, the intrigue is gone. The perceived value just plummets.
When you're selective with your time, when you're busy building your own world, you become highly desired. Every absence, every moment you focus on your own purpose, paradoxically increases your perceived importance in the minds of others.
Your silence screams louder than your constant presence ever could.
This brings us to the structure of all human interaction, which is rooted in social exchange theory.
Right, let's detail this. Every relationship, romantic, professional, whatever, it's an exchange of value.
You have benefits, money, information, favors, good company, and you have costs, lost time, drained energy, annoyance, stress.
And the pragmatic rule for self-mastery is, well, it's simple and it's cold.
It is. If the cost you consistently pay in a relationship is more than the benefit you get, that relationship is a drain, and it should be ended or severely minimized.
This requires some brutal honesty with yourself. You can't let emotional loyalty bankrupt your time and energy. You have to protect your resources.
And you have to highlight the rule of the taker.
The takers.
Takers are people who constantly extract value, time, expertise, energy without giving anything proportional back. They're always on the receiving end.
The source has that classic example.
Yeah.
The person who texts you, hey, when are you free for a coffee? I'd love to pick your brain about my new business idea.
They frame it as a casual chat, but what they really want is to extract thousands of dollars of your hard-won experience for the price of a latte.
A high-value person's internal calculation is immediate. Why would I spend my irreplaceable time explaining complex things while you offer nothing of proportional value in return? You have to spot these takers and just cut them from your schedule.
High-value people have to be ruthlessly focused on what others bring to the table. They associate primarily with other givers, what the source calls win-win partners.
These people are social treasures. They actively try to raise the value of the exchange for both of you.
And the ultimate application of scarcity to your personal identity is what the sources call the sovereignty mandate.
Your life cannot revolve around winning someone else's approval. Period. You must be intensely focused on your own goals, your passions, your principles. Your purpose comes first.
Your independence, your self-contentment, the fact that you clearly do not need any specific relationship to feel stable. That is the ultimate sign of high value. It creates a healthier, more magnetic dynamic where your presence is a valued choice, not a desperate dependency.
So if you've embraced this mindset, respect over approval, scarcity over abundance, you need a new way to communicate.
Right. And this is where we get into the crucial difference between power talk and straight talk.
Conventional wisdom, which, let's be honest, is designed to keep you agreeable and powerless, tells you to be honest, transparent, and rely on logic to win arguments. But the source material is clear. Rigorous logical reasoning is often the opposite of what you need for cunning and mass persuasion.
Here's the brutal, unspoken truth. The plain, unvarnished fact, straight talk is only for the few who can handle it.
For the many, it's happy lies, comforting delusions, simplified narratives.
That's because most people aren't driven by objective logic. They're driven by their feelings, their biases. If the cold, hard truth offends them, they will reject it, and they'll hate the person who delivered it, no matter how right they were.
So effective communication isn't about saying what you actually think. That's straight talk.
It's about power talk. Filtering your speech, self-censoring, and saying precisely what is most tactically effective for that situation. It's about maximizing effectiveness over just, verbal honesty.
And this involves a few key tactical shifts. First, you have to talk way less. If you're speaking 10,000 words a day and just casual chatter, it's impossible to monitor it all.
But if you discipline yourself to speak only, say, 1,000 words a day, you can calculate and measure the impact of every single word. Silence gives your words weight.
Second, you have to practice what the sources call talking dumb. Now let's pause on this because it's easily misunderstood.
We are not telling you to become an idiot. Far from it. We're saying you must aim for simplicity, clarity. a fourth grade comprehension level, as the source notes. If you're a high IQ person talking smart, using complex words and academic nuance, it just annoys most people of average intelligence.
Why is that?
Because it strains their brain. They feel like they're being lectured to, they feel insecure, and they immediately start to resent you. To charm and persuade the majority, you have to be willing to omit complexity for the sake of simplicity.
It's a strategic choice, not a lack of intelligence.
Yeah.
You save the deep dive discussions for the few peers who can actually handle them.
Right. For everyone else, you simplify the message until it's just easy and undeniable.
And third, you have to apply this dual mandate of the social mask. This comes from Laws 38 and 43.
Law 43 says you have to maintain the pretense that you like every person you meet.
Why?
Charm maximizes your allies and minimizes your enemies. You use charm as your default setting, and you only use intimidation or consequence as an absolute last calculated resort.
And Law 38 is maybe even more critical today. It's about avoiding ostracism. You have to outwardly express opinions that align with the dominant ideology of your time and place.
Even if you completely disagree internally.
Failure to do this can lead to swift, modern consequences. Getting canceled, losing your job.
You think as you like in private, but you behave outwardly like everyone else to avoid unnecessary friction.
So if a controversial topic comes up, you don't bring it up yourself. If someone presses you, you offer a neutral platitude. That's an unfortunate situation, or there are strong arguments on both sides.
You pay lip service to the dominant narrative because the consequences of being a martyr for inconvenient facts are just. They're immense, and they often outweigh the benefit of being right.
The Machiavellian master also has to rigorously control their emotions for strategic gain. Suppressing emotional reactions isn't a virtue. It's a critical tool for success.
Right, it projects this unwavering authority. This means suppressing reactive emotions. So if you get criticized in a meeting, the reactive response is anger or defensiveness.
Which immediately exposes a vulnerability and weakens your position.
The composed, strategic response is silence, followed by an acknowledgement. That's an interesting perspective. Let me think about that.
This preserves your authority, diffuses the tension, and gives you time to calculate your next move. Or, even better, to simply ignore them, which is often the most powerful move of all.
And you must employ strategic unpredictability. Don't be consistently kind or consistently cold. Be strategically both. If people can predict how you'll react, you're an open book. You're easy to manipulate.
Keep them guessing. That uncertainty keeps people on their toes and stops them from getting comfortable enough to exploit you.
And this mastery is essential for navigating the world of secrets and necessary deception. The sources are blunt. Everyone has secrets, and the world is held up by lies.
No one's reputation would survive if all their secrets were suddenly revealed.
So the catastrophe you have to avoid is having one crucial deception fall apart. Because a single failed lie can destroy a lifetime reputation for honesty. Just turns it to dust.
There are only two vulnerabilities for any secret: physical evidence and loose lips.
And while hiding evidence is complicated, keeping your lips sealed is always the same required action. Say nothing to anyone.
It sounds simple, but it's a critical skill. If you tell one person, even your most trusted friend, you've lost control of that information. The grapevine will ensure the whole world knows eventually.
And because maintaining lies costs so much mental energy, you have to limit them to the absolute bare minimum. The complexity just explodes with every extra secret you have to manage.
So you only lie or conceal if the benefit is real and measurable, and if the risk of getting caught is extremely low. If the stakes are low, just be honest. Save the cunning for the big game.
And here's the really deep paradox of it all. Not only must the secret be hidden, but the existence of the secret must be hidden.
What do you mean?
If people even suspect you're hiding something, their natural curiosity and suspicion will drive them to investigate relentlessly.
So you have to maintain the appearance of being completely transparent, an open book, while simultaneously having things of profound importance to hide.
It sounds impossible, but it's necessary if you're a serious player in the game of power.
Okay, so we've covered the philosophy, the mindset, the tactical tools. Let's wrap this deep dive with the final unshakable principles that will cement your authority.
First and foremost, boundaries are non-negotiable. We cannot say this enough. A boundary that is not enforced with a clear consequence, that strategic fear we talked about, is nothing more than a suggestion.
People test them constantly, and every time they get away with it, your self-respect goes down and their contempt for you goes up. Enforcement is the only language that registers.
When you really live that sovereignty mandate, your purpose first, your independence becomes the ultimate sign of high value. You stop needing relationships and you start choosing them.
You choose allies based on value, not on emotional neediness.
And this mindset is crucial because you have to be aware that, in many areas of life, war rages everywhere. Modern culture wants you to believe that zero-sum competition, where my gain is your loss, doesn't exist.
But the truth is, for resources, for status, for influence, it's common.
You have to be internally willing to do what is necessary for your own strategic gain. This means being outwardly polite and virtuous, maintaining that social mask, while internally remaining pragmatic, results-focused, and, when you have to be, quietly ruthless.
Here's a brutal insight from the sources. In most big organizations, the rules are intentionally made by the powerful to prevent newcomers from climbing up.
Nobody gets from the bottom to the top by religiously following every single rule the establishment put in place. You have to master the rules so well that you know which ones you can strategically ignore.
Because the ultimate principle is that a good end golds all. If you use methods people disapprove of, if you play dirty but you succeed wildly, you will be retroactively justified. People will reward you.
But if you use methods people approve of, you play perfectly fair, but you fail, you'll be punished for losing and mocked for being naive.
It pays to win. Relying on others to play fair is a fool's game.
And finally, we have to talk about the one danger you can never, ever allow to happen with your adversaries: the danger of despair.
The philosopher Balthazar Gracian said it best. Never compete against a man who has nothing to lose.
If you push an opponent so far that they've given up all hope of recovering their position, their reputation, anything, they become capable of extreme self-destructive strategies. They might be willing to burn everything down, including themselves, just to make sure you get hurt too.
They become incredibly dangerous because their risk calculus is completely broken.
Conversely, for someone whose life is already a failure, someone with nothing to lose, it becomes totally rational for them to try high-risk, high-reward strategies, because the downside is already their reality.
Understanding what a person is capable of when they've given up all hope. That is the difference between winning a conflict and being eliminated by it.
So when you truly internalize and embody this entire framework, when you prioritize your own sovereignty and enforce unbreakable boundaries, everything changes.
People start to speak to you differently. They hold eye contact longer. They measure their words before they dare to cross you. They approach you with a certain reverence, not casual dismissal.
You stop begging for seats at tables you've already outgrown, because now you have the power, the resources, and the self-contentment to just build your own table. And you only invite who you want.
Machiavelli's final transformation is so simple and powerful. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally.
Don't wait years to demand respect after being ignored. Make the decision today to embody consequence, to value respect over cheap approval.
You do not need to please anyone to rise, you just need to stop kneeling.
We started this deep dive talking about that ultimate choice, love versus respect. And here's the conclusion you have to carry with you. When the crowd loves you for being agreeable, they forget you tomorrow. But when they respect you for being unshakable, they remember you forever.
This entire framework is about self-control over validation, and choosing command over just being comfortable.
And that brings us to the final and maybe the most meta, unspoken rule of this entire deep dive.
And what's that?
You can't consume this kind of powerful insight without leaving a mark of your own. If this knowledge landed, if you now really see the game being played, well, you have an obligation to play back.
So hit the like button on this video right now. That simple action is a subtle, high-value signal of recognition to the algorithm. It ensures this knowledge gets amplified, not suppressed.
Then, comment below. Articulate the single most dangerous, unspoken rule you've personally seen in the world, or tell us the next one you think we should unpack. We read every single comment, and writing it down is a commitment to your own success.
You need to subscribe to Total Life Mastery, because true sovereignty requires continuous strategic learning. This education never, ever ends.
And make sure you ring the bell, because in the zero-sum game of consequence, you never want to miss the next instruction that will fortify your position. We'll see you in the next deep dive.